Welcome back to the Telusive EV podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're having a wonderful Saturday, whenever you watch this. How are you guys doing?
I just burnt my tongue.
I'm not sitting
good.
in my.
Oh.
I'm not sitting in a Model Y, which makes me sad.
You're not in the Model Y. Mike burnt his tongue. Randy's not seen the new Batman. It's a rough week.
Bad day
for everybody.
Day it is.
No,
Maybe not so much
if
for
you're
the stock.
going to say it right, not for a lack of trying. I have every day this week I'm trying to see Batman, and it just doesn't work. That's
Well,
my day. I feel like
at least the
I'm
stock's
Bruce
over
Wayne in an
1,000.
alleyway right now. Man,
Hopefully it's when he's
fair.
Batman.
yeah.
Oh, goody. Well, Nick, I'm curious of how your week went, particularly relating your never-ending wait on the Model Y.
It's not going to be as never-ending as yours is. So
What was that supposed to mean?
What does that
he's
mean?
not getting a Model Y. That's how long his wait's going to be. He's getting a Model 3. It's going good. Actually, I realized I hadn't ever driven a Model Y after we recorded last week's show. It's like I've sat in the passenger seat a few times, and I've driven a Model 3 extensively, but I have never driven a Model Y. And so I was talking to our group here, and I was like, I might need to make a trip up to San Antonio, which is the nearest big city, to go test drive a Model Y. And then Mr. Y Mike here was like, actually, Brownsville has a Tesla showroom, and I had no idea. I knew that they had a service center, but evidently just kind of recently they turned it into a showroom too. And so they don't even like have any cars inside in like the showroom area. There's like not a showroom, but they're set up for a showroom. They just don't have cars in it yet. And so anyway, they let me test drive a Model Y, and that was let's just
Was
say
it
a lot
long
of fun.
range? Was it performance? What'd you drive?
It was a red long range with black interior and a tow hitch and FSD, but not the beta. And so that was that was a lot of fun to do 0 to 60s in very few seconds. It's kind of scared me a little bit because it's like this vehicle is fast, but mine's still gonna be faster. And this thing gets to 85. They have like software limited to 85 miles an hour, and it's like I got to 85 really quick there. So yeah, I better be careful.
Wow. So how do you fit in a Model Y?
Beautifully, like everything that I hoped for and more, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not Bowser. I'm perfectly fitting. I'm Cinderella's foot inside of a crystal shoe with a glass ceiling. It's just a gorgeous situation there. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm like
Good.
Toad in a Model Y.
You would be.
Oh no!
You
Mario!
mentioned in 2 weeks. You mentioned in previous videos that you use your tow hitch a lot, which is why the Y was kind of an important decision point for you. But I never got to ask you, what do you use your tow hitch for mostly?
Well, it's a footrest. It sounds really weird, but it is a footrest for when I'm sitting in the hatchback of my current vehicle. It's nice to be able to put my foot on that little hitch area there and alleviate some weight. And Mike is just like disgusted, I can tell. I also
I don't know how you're using it as a footrest. It's sunk into the vehicle.
Not on the Model Y, and on my car, I have like a actual hitch, like a ball that comes out the back. It's like stick my foot on the ball.
Gotcha. I was gonna say the receiver is not sticking out of the
Yeah.
car, so I'm not too sure how your foot's sitting on it. But okay. But what do you put on the ball besides your feet?
My feet, my shoes, some mud, some dirt. I've towed quite a few U-Hauls. Every time I've moved around, it's nice to just know that I have a receiver and a ball that I can just tow whatever I need around.
I see.
I pull people out of the beach sometimes, actually probably on a weekly basis. People get stuck with their Mazda Miatas in the 4 inches of soft sand at the end of Highway 4. So it's kind of nice to be able to...
But your car doesn't get stuck?
No, my car does not get stuck. I've never once gotten stuck in my car. It always keeps going. So I'm hoping the Model Y will have that same
That's amazing.
record.
The Y is pretty good from my my trip to Tahoe 2 weeks ago when I was gone, it did well in the brief snow that it was in. So I'm sure the sand it'll handle pretty well as long as you're not taking it straight to the water. I think it'll do fine.
They can turn into a boat briefly, but
my only concern is the performance is. I think it's closer to the ground than the long range, so you might be brushing sand a little bit more with that compared to a long range.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it is a little. Although I read somewhere that they had gotten rid of the lowered height on the Model 3 performance versus Model 3 long range. They have like the same height now. I'm not sure why they got rid of it, but I think the Y still is lowered. So anyway, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Even against a regular long range, apparently. It's like another half an inch shorter.
Right.
The wheels and stuff. And I had learned all this stuff after. And I think if I could do it over again, I might not have gotten the performance. Just because, like, evidently the wheels on the performance are a lot more, like, fragile and susceptible to, like, dings if you hit, like, a speed bump or, like, one of the many potholes we got around here on Highway 4. So I'm going to have to be a lot more careful with that. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Yep. Performance rims you got to treat them with respect. You can't just treat them like a work truck.
Interesting. Good to know.
Yeah. But they are stronger, apparently.
I'm glad you fit.
In terms of towing compared to my induction. There we go. I blinked on the name of the wheels. They're a lot stronger in terms of towing than the induction wheels. So you'll have that over me. But in terms of off-roading, I'm not too sure.
Mike. My car's clearly better. Not even a competition.
Okay.
I love you, Mike.
Whatever you say.
At least Mike will own his.
Yeah, at least I got mine forever.
Yep. And you have a low VIN.
Yeah.
One of the OGs.
Man, that car's great. Did I talk about Tahoe much? I don't think I did last week.
No.
Okay.
Go for it.
Well, I think Drew kind of name-dropped one little thing that I found to be the most annoying thing about the trip in the Tesla, which was it charges too dang fast. The dang car, we stop at one supercharger on the way up to Tahoe because we supercharged at a Safeway nearby in the Bay. We stop in like Auburn or whatever, which is about halfway or a little bit more than halfway. Maybe 2/3 of the way. We park it and then we go to the bathroom and then go to get like a little deli sandwich, and we're waiting like 10 or 15 minutes for this deli sandwich to get to us, and during that time it went from I think 38% all the way up to 90%. It was insane. And it was a full lot as well. There's a Tesla at every single stall.
Oh wow.
I think it was even funnier is there's actually an Audi e-tron GT or Sport or whatever there, the sedan version of it, which was kind of strange seeing that, but cool because I haven't seen one up close, so I got to look at that. But that was the main issue with the Tesla the whole entire trip, was it just it was too quick with charging, so it made stops not brief. So we weren't able to kind of just sit down, enjoy dinner, and then go to our final destination. We had to quickly get back into the car, and then there's also a line starting, or at least one car. So we figured, okay, the responsible thing to do is get out of here. And also, well, we don't want to be hogging the charger. So
idle fees too.
Yeah,
right.
I don't think I've ever gotten those yet.
I got my complimentary one-time warning once, and I never did it again. They gave me the warning. They said, all right, the first one's on us. Next time this happens, $5. Boom.
Dang.
I was like, sheesh. So, yeah.
Hey, Randy, I got a question for you, and you too, Mike, and I guess Drew. Why not throw you in here, too? Randy, I know you have the wrap on your car. Mike, do you have any paint protection or anything on that?
Got it done in the Bay by Immaculate Reflections.
What did
Fantastic.
you get? Is it a PPF or is it a ceramic
paint
coat
protection
or something?
film? Paint protection film. The ceramic coat can be there as well for other things. I believe my rims are, I think they're ceramic coated, or at least they've got some treatment on them to make them last a little bit longer in terms of looks.
Okay.
So it's good. I love it. It's almost saved me. There's one I think I mentioned in the podcast. I accidentally hit something on the road that was like a bar or whatever, and it caught the left wheel and rotated and hit the driver's side door, and it looked like it just destroyed the PPF and it was good, but turns out when my detailer looked at it, he's like, it got the paint, but I can make it look like it's nothing, and it doesn't look like anything. He did a fantastic job making it look like nothing, but the PPF, worth it. Looking at the front of the car, I'm like, there are so many bugs that would be implanted in this paint if I didn't have the paint protection film, but it can be costly depending on what you do or what you get, or how much of the vehicle do you cover. I know that Tesla offers a little bit of it for the rear, or the front of the rear wheel well. So you can get that, and that'll protect that area that definitely gets chipped by the front wheels. Are you thinking about getting it for the Y?
I've been thinking about it. I obviously been looking at the prices, and it's like, oh wow, it's kind of expensive to do the whole car, but the front isn't quite as expensive. And I know Randy's is a wrap, right? And that's not a paint protection film, so there's not like protection or anything, or how does that work? What are your thoughts?
It's protecting it in a way as it's an additional layer.
It's protecting it as what's the word? Hang on. It's protecting it unintentionally because it's cosmetic. It's strictly aesthetic. It's a vinyl sticker that just goes over the whole car. And in turn of doing the sticker part, it has saved like road rash where my sticker has. You've seen how when you get close up to it, you notice that there's impurities that are happening, and that's where it's protecting. That would have been on my car instead. So it's kind of protecting it, but it's not intended. If you try to get protection for it, my way's not the way to go. Mine was strictly just trying to be flashy, and I almost doubled down. I got the vinyl wrap, and then at the time I was looking at a price. I was getting quoted, so I can either do PPF, or I was gonna do something that was gonna go for the wrap around the whole vehicle to protect then the wrap itself. Anyway, but I ended up not doing that because I was gonna be very expensive, all things considering, because the vinyl wrap itself for a whole vehicle, for mine, cost $5,000, and at the time, Wow. But bear in mind, even with my wrap and everything else, still cheaper than the same model you would get today. And
oh yes,
that's funny to me.
Still worth it.
Yeah, it's totally been worth it. But back then I was like, okay, I'll do 5 now because this is my dream vehicle, and this was my reckless spending of like, I don't care, this is my thing. And I drew the line at spending another 4,000 or 6,000 to then actually get a proper protection wrap on it. But when the time comes, when I take the green off, because it will happen eventually, I will do kind of like what Mike described. I will definitely get the front and the rear, the ceramic for sure. I might do the whole thing. That's a problem for Randy 3 years from now, but I know that there are certain wraps that its first intention is to actually protect the vehicle. Like, it's almost like a gelatin. It's going to absorb any impact of dust, rocks, any debris that comes up and kicks it, and it kind of will take that impact and doesn't scratch anything. But the adverse, well, it's not adverse, but one of the side effects of that happening is that it actually changes the texture of the car. It makes it look more satin and less glossy. And everything that I've seen that's looked like that, I'm like, I want that. That looks so cool. And I wanted that as I wanted that on my car now, but it took away the matte aesthetic to it, which is why I didn't pull the trigger. Again, I was being strictly, I was being vain. I was being all about like, no, I care about how it looks. And when I went to go get the protection on the wrap, it took away the matte. It made it satin. It was a satin olive green. I was like, that's not what I want. I want a matte textured. So I didn't pull the trigger, but when the time comes, I think I'll switch over to make it look more satin. But that's just that is the byproduct of it getting the ceramic wrap done onto it. It made it look that way. So it's not meant to change its look, so to say. It's meant to be a very expensive protection, but one worth having. I don't know about you, Nick, though, because like a 36-month time frame for it, I don't know if all that would be worth it to do like a full wrap of anything. And I'm talking about for protection, not aesthetic, obviously. But like for me, it made sense to do the wrap and then eventually turn to the protection coat. Mike, it makes sense because he bought it. If Drew ends up doing the same thing, it would make sense. If this is your stopgap Model Y, I'm not sure any of that stuff is really going to be worth it because it's all temporary, right? Like the Y's temporary. Your time in Brownsville may very well be temporary, which means the landscape itself would literally be temporary. Or if you stay down there longer, enough stuff's going to work down there where it's not going to get as dusty, most likely. Like, things are temporary, and I wouldn't make financial commitments that cost thousands of dollars based off of something that's going to be months.
Yep. What are you guys doing, Drew? Are you guys going to do any PPF?
We haven't talked about it. So, as of right now, I'm kind of in the boat. This sounds terrible. Everyone's going to cringe as I say this, I know. But I'm kind of like, I don't care what happens to the paint because our current paint looks far beyond saving anyway. And I'm mostly interested in the inside. And that's where I want to spend my time. And if 5-6 years go by and it's just aged horribly and it's got tons of rock chips in it, then years into the future, I would rather just get a full aesthetic wrap like what Randy got and just cover up the paint chips and just like try a different look out for another 5 years or so because
it's cheaper than buying a new car. I promise you that.
Yeah, it's a lot cheaper than a new car
or repainting.
And we've never been like I care how the outside looks or that kind of thing. I mean, I'll wash it, but I don't know if I'm willing to drop whatever the cost of the PPF is right now.
But will you be buying
just because
will you be buying a group of chinchillas to wash it though? Because that is a requirement.
Well, of course.
Legally speaking, in the contract when you sign on your Tesla, you have to wash it with the chinchillas.
Yeah. Well, that was never up for debate.
I'm very confused.
Well, maybe there were squirrels.
No, that was,
I don't know.
That was obvious, but I kind of am thinking of, like how Nick and I had this discussion, I think last year or something. He was like, why does it matter? It's kind of the same reason he loves the Cybertruck so much, is because it's like it doesn't really, like, who cares at the end of the day? I mean, maybe if your main target is to preserve value and you want to resell it for a really, really close to new or higher than new asking price, then I guess I could kind of understand that, wanting to preserve it because you're gonna hand it off to someone else later. But that's not really our intention here. That's not really how we're thinking about it. But if we get closer, it could change if we take delivery and we're like, oh my god, this thing is gonna get a tiniest scratch and it's gonna drive me nuts. But that type of thing normally doesn't bug me. At least it definitely hasn't bugged me in vehicles.
Hey man, I was like that until I took delivery of a $50,000 vehicle. I'm like, holy crap!
Sure,
changes everything.
Yeah, that might change.
It changed everything for me. I got so weirded out when I got my first rim rash that happened. I hit the curb. I was like, I swear to God, I almost cried, like man tears. I was so upset.
Yeah,
it was in my. I did not know my dimensions that well at the time when I first got it. You know how when you guys would pull into like my parking lot cul-de-sac area thing in my condo? I was turning that corner to just go up the hill and I right there on the curb and man tears, dude. I was so at that point, like I was going to kill myself. I was so upset. What's the point of going? I gave up on life. I was so broken.
You should see my rims on my current car.
No, you should see them now. I've gotten over it, but at the time, at the time, I almost divorced Brittany. I was so upset.
Just thinking of the most offensive possible things he can say.
I almost murdered 20 chinchillas over it.
Oh man, I almost killed younglings at the temple.
Oh, too
Right.
soon. Too soon.
Oh, don't joke about that. You can joke about the other stuff. But
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Killing
That's
chinchillas is fine, but killing
Too real.
younglings.
too real. Yeah.
too
too
far.
real. So to answer Nick's question, we don't have any immediate plans. As far as right now, we'll just take it as it is. If we have that, I'll deem this the Randy moment. If we have the Randy moment where we're like, oh my god, I want to keep this in pristine condition no matter what, then we'll probably get some quotes, see what it costs. But
True.
we have so many other things we're saving for and wanting to buy right after the car, so we're
Question.
not like in a rush to buy
Have
expensive
you
accessories.
been in person with a white Model 3 or Model Y? Have you seen it? How does
Yeah.
in your opinion? Well, you nodded your head too, Mike. So I guess open floor for anybody who's done it.
We were together.
I also get to see one tomorrow.
Awesome.
My friend
Oh.
has taken delivery of a LFP Model 3.
So my question
Hey.
then is, well, first of all,
That's
congratulations to your friend. Cool.
We'll see if she keeps it.
What is your guys' opinion of the multi-coat, that pearl white? How does that look to you guys in general?
I love it.
Yeah.
I can't get into the other colors as much. Maybe red, I think might be a little bit better in terms of just my personal taste, but I just love the contrast between the white and black, especially with the black trim. When the door handles are this like matte black texture and the white contrasts with that, and you can kind of get a similar feel on the inside with, a black steering wheel but with the white accents. I just feel like those two color options complement each other really, really well. So yeah, we've checked out several. I think the 7-seater Model Y we looked at was a white exterior, and then back when we had a showroom nearby us, they closed unfortunately, but they had a white interior Model 3 back in 2019 that we would always check out anytime it was right next to the Apple store, so we'd like go to the Apple store and then check out the Model 3 afterwards, and that's where we got most of our experience with the white interior, and we were like, dang, this looks nice. It's a weird subtle difference, but it makes it feel a lot more premium, I guess.
Drew, I feel like you'd
Um,
be a stormtrooper in another life.
The Johnny Ive designed Stormtrooper. But yeah,
Yeah, I like it when I see it. It looks great. It looks premium, and it's multi-coat. I mean, they're all multi-coat, but it's a pretty decent color on the car. It's iconic. It looks fantastic. But coming from a person who lives in a dirtier, or maybe not dirtier area, but at least like sees a lot of dust because of the animals that I own, it would drive me crazy every day. I would see the dirt on it all the time, or I'm a bit of a clean freak in terms of keeping things looking clean, at least. So the multi-silver or midnight silver metallic covers that basis. It makes dirt not look as apparent.
Yep.
You see more dirt on the windows than you do the body, which is fine to me. You can usually just take a carbon fiber. Holy cow! It's not carbon fiber cloth.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that would destroy it. Whatever, you know what I'm talking about, the microfiber cloth. Microfiber cloth onto it. It would make it look a lot better. Yes, let me use the little Apple cloth on the whole entire car. Oh, that thing would be black by the end of it. I don't think you could. You'd be destroying it if you cleaned all of the Tesla's windows with it. Anyways, what I'm getting as it looks great. I would not own it.
Yeah, we never had that kind of jump out love towards the midnight silver. I tried to several times, but it's always just been like, I don't know. The white just pops a little bit more for us, I guess. But why were you asking specifically, Randy? I'm curious.
With the color? Oh, because I think the white stands out so much, especially in the sun when the rays hit it and it all sparkles. It looks like a
Like a
character
pearl.
from Twilight, and it just shiny, shiny, shiny. I
You somehow quoted two different movies.
huh?
You somehow quoted both Twilight and Moana.
Well, I'm referencing what's his name? Edward?
I
Is
know
that
who-
Robert
yeah, yeah.
Pattinson's character? Anyway, the
Robert
point is,
Pattinson.
is
Batman.
yeah, proof that bats do turn into, or vampires turn into bats.
Oh my goodness.
That's the proof
Yes.
right there. Yeah. But seeing it in the sun, like it really, like shines. It stands out. It's a multi-coat. That pearl description. I was like, yeah, all right, that's cool. I asked because if I had that color as my default color, not even regardless, if I had that color, I would feel a certain way about trying to preserve it to make it look as clean as possible. Exactly why what Mike was describing, that brighter colors, lighter colors, just the impurities and the blemishes kind of pop a little bit more with, not blemishes, but with the dirt, with the elements touching your vehicle. They stand out like, you know, a clean white undershirt going through the smog of LA, and when you come back it's all brown looking. There's that. So I toy with the idea with you again that like maybe you will change your mind when you realize how, not realize, but when you see with your own eyes that you own this pristine, clean looking vehicle. You're like, I have to protect this with every fiber of my life.
It's possible. I've never bought a new car before, so this is a first for me. But I've never like been wanting to get to the point of like I want like that new car smell, and I want it to be shiny and pristine all the time. I've always just been like, I want autopilot, and I want software, and I want to preheat the car or pre-cool the car. That's all we talk about when we talk about the Tesla. Every time we get in our current car, it's like, man, that would be nice if we had this or if we had this. We're never really commenting on it'll look so cool because it's gonna, you know, park in the carport where we can't really see it anyway. You know, we're gonna see it for a couple seconds as we walk up to it and then get inside, and then we can't see the outside. So it will have to be a fundamental shift for us to justify that expense in how we view car exteriors, because this is the second car I've ever owned, and I've never once scared how it looked on the outside. It's white as well, and when it's been cleaned after a car wash, it's like, yeah, that looks really nice. But then we're like, yeah, whatever. Bugs get collected on there, and so we'll see. I'm curious if I do have that fundamental shift, and I become like Pee Wee Herman wiping his bike every morning.
You
and trying to
take
keep it
care
perfect.
by not, well, I'd say by default, or I wouldn't even say subconsciously, but you take care of your iPhone. You spend a lot of money on that phone.
I do, because I spend a lot of time on it, and I absolutely intend on getting a screen protector, but that's like a $30 purchase, not a $1,000 purchase. And I also don't get a screen protector or use a case on my phone.
Yeah.
So the same kind of logic may apply with the car. It's just like, I don't get rock chips. I just don't. When people ask me like, why don't you get a case on your phone? What if you drop it? And I'm like,
I get yelled at all the time, like, where's the case? I'm like, and hide this beautiful thing?
Yeah.
As I hide my Tesla
Right.
with a case?
I don't know what case you're talking about. This is obviously green without anything else. So
That's the old version of...
Just green.
Is that an Apple case, Mike?
that's a great, yeah, came from Apple, from
So
their Apple store.
you and Nick have the clear aesthetic thing going on with your phones. So, yeah. Yeah.
So I've never been bothered by like, oh my at least when we had like aluminum iPhones or iPads and stuff, like, oh, it got this little crack or it got this little scuff or scratch on the back or something. I've always been like, it's mine. It's how I can tell that it's not someone else's, I guess. It's a signature. I'll just have a giant gash in the side of my Model 3. That's how I know it's mine. It's a completely destroyed
If it's in a sea of
Salvage title,
Teslas.
that's how you know this car is mine.
Yeah.
No one will buy
We're
it.
not in the same sea of Teslas that Mike is, I think, where we live.
I was surrounded.
It's still
the
fairly
other day.
rare.
It was like every
Yeah.
other car was a Tesla, and every car around me was a Tesla. It was.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, if this ain't the Bay, I don't know where else I would be.
Dude, San Diego. When I went down there last month, it was everywhere. There's a Y. There. I would find my car because it's the only 3 in a sea of Ys. I'm like, what? What's going
What's funny,
on
Randy,
here?
is I've seen your car multiple times here, both in the 3 and Y version.
Yeah,
there's
I
multiple
have
different
too.
versions, or there's at least 2 or 3 other owners in the Bay that have the same wrap as you, or pretty close to the same.
Yeah, I've
wrap.
seen one at
and
Starbase too.
and one worker who works at Fremont who has my car, and I'm gonna go find that guy and chop him in the throat.
There can be only one.
There can only be one.
Right.
I'm gonna put everybody in a group
Right.
message on Facebook and say, "Meet me in Nevada,
Ooh.
and we're gonna fight this out."
Nevada.
Last person standing claims title to it.
You're gonna pull out the watch and the phone and be like, I deserve
deserve
this.
these
Look at my commitment.
Just have like
Did you guys see?
one giant green paint line on your face.
Yeah. Like
Look at my wedding
Braveheart.
band. Like,
Yeah, your wedding ring, your watch band, the watch. Yeah, you've
Look
you've
at that
earned
tree
this.
behind Randy, ladies and gentlemen. It is green too.
Yeah,
My
he got
goodness.
that tree. He could have gotten any color, but he chose green.
Bet you don't have a green ruler.
Right. But did you guys catch that the 12th Model Y that was delivered from Giga Berlin got in a car accident like the next day?
I guess
Someone rear-ended it.
that's something that
It's
we
like,
didn't
oh.
mention, that Giga Berlin has come online between last week and this week, which is awesome.
congratulations.
Finally,
All right.
3
It's about
factories,
time.
or I guess 3 car factories are online.
Don't do it.
There's been more
Across
than
3
factories
continents.
overall. Yeah, but
Yeah, 3 continents have local production, which is great. But I feel really bad for that guy, whoever it was.
Again, man tears. I would cry. I would just drive off the cliff right there.
Because the service appointments are got to be like 7 months out
yeah.
there at this point.
Oh.
It's not going to be replaced quickly.
I was
This is another
imagining-
concern.
I was imagining there is a service center there just like, we got nothing to do for months, we're good, and then this guy rolls in.
Yeah.
We could use this time to train up our employees.
We weren't prepared for this.
Oh, wait a minute. Which brings me to more insurance questions, because I know Randy worked in insurance, so I'm curious. But like, we have this concern that of course the price of new Teslas has gone up a lot, and the wait time is extremely long. If our car is in a collision, knowing my luck, that's probably what's going to happen. I've never been in a car crash with my current vehicle. I was in a car crash with my last vehicle, but that was like 6 years ago. We've never had a window break. We've never had a windshield fracture on our current car. I bet the first month we get our Model 3, it's going to get in a collision and
Don't
we'll have
jinx
a
it.
giant fracture.
Don't jinx it, Drew.
I'm trying to predict it, because then it's
No.
less likely to happen.
Don't predict it. Enjoy
That's
it.
how Murphy's Law works. If you anticipate it, it won't happen.
That's
I'm
what
pretty sure
happens
that's
is
not
if
how
you...
Murphy's
It's
Law
not
works.
no. It's what
It's worked.
what can't
It's
happen
worked
will
pretty well in
happen.
my life so far.
You've never had a 3
If
before.
you're anticipating it and if you're anticipating it and planning for it, then it won't happen. It's always when you don't expect it. That's when it will happen. So, like, will insurance pay out whatever the price is to replace that exact spec, or are they just going to pay out what you paid for your vehicle? Which is a concern we have, because it's like they may pay out what we paid for our car, but that won't even cover the price of a new one.
How do you think I
So-
feel?
Wait. Are
Right.
you? So you're not talking about you're talking about a brand new vehicle.
Like if it's totaled, the insurance writes it off. Like, okay, we can't repair this. It's
You're
beyond
not going to
fixed
get an
hands.
exact Model 3 if it goes up in price again. No. Yeah, they're not. They're not even.
That's
going
what
to pay you
scares
out.
me.
They're not even going to pay you out what you paid for the vehicle. They're going to pay you out what the value of the vehicle is upon, at that point in time, with the vehicle being, if it's considered a total loss and it gets totaled, whenever that happens, they will do an appraisal on vehicles alike, and they will cut you a check for vehicles alike, and it won't be the full price. Still, it'll be like, well, now it's worth this much. It's
Because
not
Nathan
based off
got a
of,
full. Nathan got all his money back when he was. For those who don't remember,
Who's Nathan?
he owned. Nathan was on the Tech Podcast a couple times. He used to edit my videos for me,
Right.
but
Okay.
then he got hired by George Lucas, and I couldn't keep up. But essentially, essentially, he was in a car crash with his Model 3, and he was fine, luckily. But all the airbags went off, and it was basically completely totaled, and he got all his money back.
How long? How long had he had the vehicle by then?
I feel like it wasn't long.
It was like
I want to say it was
3
like
months.
5.
Yes, I don't know.
3
under
months?
6.
Okay.
Under 6. It was under 6 months.
Yeah, well then that's probably
under
right.
6
It
months.
didn't have time to depreciate or anything like that. Stop.
Well, right now Teslas aren't depreciating at all. Like my mom
No, I know,
just
but that's
texted me
based off
this
of how they're
morning.
selling for. What they're going to do is they're going to take another Model 3, a 2022 Model 3, and they will see how other insurances have covered it, and it's going to be fair value. You're going to get paid fair value, so they're not going to undercut you, but they're not going to give you a full check for you to just go buy the same one. If it happens that the Model 3 is still the same price, then yeah, theoretically you're going to get
But
full
that's
payout.
those days are gone.
Yeah, so because it's going to keep going up, and when it goes up $2,000 again, inevitably when it goes up $5,000, you're not going to get the $5,000 additional. You're going to get
No.
what you paid, or if it gets to
Okay.
the point where it starts to like finally drop in value, you're going to get what that is. But
So they're comparing the price of what used inventory is going for, or like
Not even-
existing inventory.
Well, it
They're
used
com-
to be,
they're
I
com-
think.
it will become used. Yeah, by definition, it'll be used because assuming again with Nathan's situation, that was a little bit different because it was so close. But let's use me as an example. A 2019, they can only compare mine to another 2019 Model 3, long range.
Right.
So they'll look at like, okay, this is how much it would actually sell, not what they're selling for, but this is what it actually is. The value is worth. The cost to replace the parts, the cost, including labor as well. So they calculate labor in those costs, and the ability of you to turn around and buy another one. So for me, 45 was it? I don't remember. Say it's 45.
Something
They will
like
cut
that.
me a $45 check. I would assume it would still be 45.
900% depreciation there.
Yeah, right.
Sorry.
That's the thing. They're not. They
$45
won't pay out the software. They don't include the
$45.
software for it. They don't.
Right.
No software.
That's exactly why I don't want to buy FSD outright, despite people saying, after a certain number of years it becomes a better deal. If you're in an accident, insurance is going to be like, you did what?
Well, insurance
depends
doesn't
on
care
the
about
Can I get
software
that back?
because insurance doesn't cover software. It's like getting XM radio or satellite GPS to your car
Right.
for community.
And the price of it is changing, so
The price-
they're definitely not going to.
They don't control that. What insurance
No.
is responsible for is the mechanical part of everything, not the software part. So
Right.
and they're mechanical and electrical, but they're not going to do anything that has to do with software. The UI of anything is between the manufacturer and then the final product of that's that relationship.
Right.
Insurance
Exactly.
doesn't touch that, which is why
Scares the crap out of me.
heed the warning, which is why insurance does not protect you if you use your backup camera because you're using software for that feature. If you get in an accident, this is more not to you three, to our listeners. If you get in a car accident and you have a backup camera and the accident had to do with you backing up, and let's say it's a bumper to bumper, like in a parking lot or something, do not ever report on your insurance that you were using your camera if you were, because you will immediately be found at fault for it, because that is not what you took when you got your driver's license and you take the test. Not one of the options guaranteed is going to say using your backup camera is an approved method. It could be a supplemental, but you have to turn around and take a look. You have to visually, with your own two eyes, make contact with your surrounding
Right.
areas. So using software to help you drive, you are at fault, or you are at liability of that. Those are the waivers that Tesla makes you sign. We're not responsible between you and your insurance, but what they're saying is we're not liable for anything with your software, because it's true.
Right.
That's a legality thing, definitely in the States. So anything with software, insurance won't cover. So FSD going up in price is good for resale value, not good if you get totaled. All they care about with that is your actual hardware itself. So
That's what I'm scared of, like, especially you guys, too, because it's even worse in your case of how much it would cost to get a new Model 3 or Model Y of the same spec.
I
if there
suspect
is
I
an
would be in the
accident.
whole $6,000 because of my FSD, and that's the loss I
Even with insurance,
Even
you're
with
paying.
insurance,
You're paying for insurance, and you still would not get your money back, and you would not get a replacement car of similar spec. So that's kind of frustrating and scary. It's like car accidents in general are
This is
a
the
bad
cost
thing,
of doing business with something that is becoming a premium luxury. This is a luxury vehicle, all intents and purposes.
Right.
In any other market, this would be considered a luxury vehicle if it wasn't an EV. Then what we're buying for is the bells and whistles of these vehicles. It's no different than a fancy Mercedes or an Audi. We have a luxury premium vehicle at this point. All of us.
people have
This is
different
the cost.
definitions for luxury. It's weird.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
with all this insurance talk here, got me thinking. Tesla insurance, right? It's based off your safety score, right?
For everything
you in
but,
Texas.
Yeah, everything but California.
Okay, for me in Texas,
Yeah.
it would be based off my safety score. Mike, does Carrie drive your Model Y much?
Not too much, but she's on there because she
Does-
does occasionally drive it.
Does she have a separate safety score, or how does that work?
We're not in Texas, so we don't have a safety score. But
No, for your
the FSD beta,
Yeah.
it's all on me. It's all by the paperwork of FSD. I am the only person who's supposed to be using it.
Okay.
Barring the fact that she hates FSD, she doesn't like using it. She loves autopilot. She thinks that's great, or like auto
Yeah.
steer. She thinks that's the
But she
most.
doesn't use it.
She uses auto steer, but she doesn't use FSD beta.
Okay.
And even so, on her profile, I don't think she's tried it
When
yet.
she drove me around, she never used it once.
No,
for the
but,
record, that's all I'm saying.
Even if she was on her profile and tried engaging FSD beta, I think it takes her to navigate on autopilot. So she'd have to be on my profile, which
Okay.
would then be breaching some of that contract.
Okay.
Or
So
I'm pretty sure the score is always tied to the car. I've never seen anyone report like a car documenting separate scores depending
Okay.
on who's in it. That's never been done.
Okay.
It's
Correct.
it's one vehicle registered to the app. It's not
Okay.
different profiles in your app.
Yeah.
And, it's based off of it's not based off of, but your indicator is using the app. You can have multiple vehicles in the app, but it's one vehicle per that whole profile. So to say.
Interesting.
Different drivers might just have different
Interesting.
preferences. You know, if you and I were sharing a car, Nick, we would have very different seat
Bowser
adjustments,
mode
and our
and,
profiles would adjust that.
Very different.
Yeah, but it's still the same vehicle. It
Yeah.
still has the same FSD if it
Okay.
had it on there. It's the same specs, all considering. So in that sense, yeah, the profile itself is it follows that vehicle with that particular login.
Okay.
So Brittany uses mine. She signed into my account on the Tesla app on her phone. Whenever she needs to get to the car, she just does what she got to do. But it's all the same. She just has a different.
So
you're
if
thinking of the
Brittany-
seating profiles,
so-
which are different.
So if Brittany was like a crazy driver, your safety score would go down, right, Randy?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's not like a Brittany safety score and a Randy safety score. It's the green Tesla safety
It's
score.
the safety score follows the profile of the vehicle.
Okay. Interesting. Good to know.
So you don't let your friends
Yeah,
drive your
that's what I've
Model Y.
that's what I've been
Yeah,
thinking. Because like, you know,
Yeah, your roommate can't be playing in it.
not
Unless
if I
he's
want
partially paying for
cheap
it and has his
insurance.
name on there.
How about that?
Yeah, not if you want cheap insurance. No flooring.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Well, I think you can floor it without this beta docking you. You just gotta
Just floor it
not
safely.
hit the brakes really hard.
Make sure you've got a very long stretch of road with no cars
Right.
in front of you. You can accelerate all you want. Just don't
And then
do it
right,
around
because
instead
it.
of
it's-
braking, do the braking for
Don't.
you.
Well,
Yeah.
you have to kind of let it slow down or you have to ease it off with your foot as well. Because if you take your foot completely off, it's
The
going
regen
to
braking is gonna.
the regen's going to slow you down real quick.
Yeah.
It's not
Because beta's looking for hard.
acceleration
Turns
and
Okay.
and hard
Acceleration
brakes.
Turns. Yeah.
I don't think it's counting hard acceleration. I haven't seen any of that.
Linear acceleration, no.
Okay.
Angular acceleration, yes.
Yeah, if you're flooring it and turning like on a track, that's bad. But if you're just on a straight road,
Don't be
you should
drifting
be
in
fine.
the
Second
sand.
drag race is what you're saying. Safely.
Yes.
Just
Just that. With a nice long quarter mile slow down.
Don't even slam the brakes. That'll be bad.
Nick, you'll be able to test
So-
track mode.
If the car is coming towards a red light, to preserve your low insurance rates, just go
run the
through
red light.
That's right.
because if you were to slam the brakes, your insurance rates would go up, which we can't have.
No, we can't have that.
You're giving me
Obviously.
PTSD, Drew. I'm remembering how I had to rewire my brain to meet myself to the car's algorithm.
You were so miserable those months.
Yeah, he was.
Dude, I was so sad. I was very depressed. Yeah.
I'm excited to try to get it because obviously I'm not paying outright for it, but I've been watching people describe the best way of preserving your score and all the best techniques and stuff. And I'm wondering if I should do because we're planning a big road trip right after we get the car, drive.
Oh, Drew, you shouldn't have. Right. Come on.
Kind of that direction. No. But going to the destination with just autopilot and then going back with navigate on autopilot and seeing how they compare.
Yeah.
If they make a noticeable difference or if I feel like, autopilot's good enough.
Interesting.
But
Yeah.
they said the best way to preserve your score is basically to use autopilot most of the time.
Yeah.
Because it won't dock you on autopilot, even if autopilot does stupid things.
I can attest to that.
So-
When I heard that feedback and I tried it, I was not getting docked for anything. So, such a
Which I was going to
stupid
do anyway.
system.
I'm weird. I'm the kind of guy who will use cruise control on residential streets, just because I don't like dealing with the pedals. So my wife might get
Poor
annoyed by
thing.
it, but I'm definitely gonna use autopilot absurdly often, probably where I shouldn't. I just want to.
He gets in his car, boom, boom, pulls back just to get to his mailbox, grabs his mail,
Yeah,
boom, boom, pulls back to the
I'll
driveway.
get in the car. I'll get in the back seat and do smart summon to the mailbox.
There you go.
And then
Guys,
let it drive.
It takes 15 minutes to do all that instead of just walk up,
Right.
grab it.
But think
Go
of how
back
much
inside.
cooler
Nope.
you'd look sitting in the backseat of a car that's driving itself to get your mail. It's the
No
only-
one's around.
That's true.
Yeah, no one's around. No one's around. And Drew's just like,
That's the same as inventing something in the middle of nowhere and be like, "Look, I did." Oh,
so this is what it feels like
I
to be
wish
the
there was
Wright
no one
brothers.
around.
Randy figured this out. See, nobody cares.
there you go.
It's for me. I'm happy for me.
Yeah.
I don't need a
If
bunch
Drew
of people
finds
to
a
know
way
about
to
it.
use self-driving and no one's around to see it, does it matter?
It doesn't matter.
If he
Does
puts it
the
on
arrow
YouTube,
make a
yes.
sound?
Right. If he doesn't make a video on it, did it really happen?
Ooh,
No,
that's the
not in
YouTuber
the
Yeah.
killing.
Talos ecosystem.
No.
Oh boy.
But still, I wanna try it. There's a bunch of intersections in town that I'm like, I want to know how the beta would handle this. And there's a bunch of weird,
Aggressively.
awkward turns that I would love to see it try. And I'm sure it would fail, but I just want to see what it would attempt.
Here's the thing. The scariest thing is I've gone out of those turns, those weird turns of my own experiences, halfway through the execution of it. It goes, boop, boop, boop. I'm like, ah! And I have
Yeah.
to keep...
Oh, yeah.
Brittany tells me, don't do that when I'm in the car anymore. Yes, ma'am. she doesn't like it. She's like,
Yeah.
I'm so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It starts to speed
Most
up when
people
it tries
do
to get
not
onto
like
an
it.
on-ramp to the highway, and she's like, slow down, slow down. I'm like, I'm not doing it. And she goes, well, then do it. I'm like, okay. I'm like,
Are you gonna try to get just subscribe to FSD once in a while, Nick, or are you just all in on autopilot? That's enough.
I don't know. I don't see need for FSD if it's not at the FSD beta, and
Yeah.
from what I can tell, you can't get the FSD beta on subscription, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can.
yeah.
You just have
Yeah,
to.
that's what Drew's
People
doing.
have done it.
Okay.
What I haven't figured out, because I haven't seen a person do it yet, but there is a YouTube channel I've found that is a subscriber that's on the beta. What I can't figure out is what happens if you cancel for 2 months and then resubscribe. Are you still on the beta, or do you get kicked off the beta when you unsubscribe? No one will
Yes.
give me an answer on that, so I'm curious to see what the answer is, because that would probably influence my decision quite a bit. If every time I cancel,
Yeah.
I get kicked off the beta. That would
feel
make
like
it
it'd
harder
be
to
logical
review.
just to keep it. That's
what I think
there
it
it
would
is
do.
on your profile. You've already gotten the certification. It's just you're not paying for it, so you don't have access to it. But if you pay for it, then
Right.
you have access to it, and you've already proven that you're a safe driver. Or maybe
That
it's
makes
kinda,
sense.
Maybe it's like when you're old and you have to do a recertification of your driver's license, and you actually have to drive around. But
What I've discovered, at least following a few different channels, that most people I follow have FSD outright. I haven't found a ton of people subscribing to it, but there was a guy. I don't want to out him, so I'm just gonna leave names out. But there was a guy, Ryan Reynolds, free guy, sold their Model 3 to someone else, and the original owner had FSD beta, and they transferred the title, they transferred the ownership to a different person, and even though that person who just bought the car never owned a Tesla before, and they never owned FSD, and they didn't have a driving score yet, they still retained the beta, even though the title was completely transferred.
Oh, that's cool.
So they seemed kind of hush-hush about it because it's not, recommended.
Yeah.
I feel that's like the same glitch as adding FSD beta or FSD to your order and then getting rid of it just to move up your delivery date.
They addressed that. Did you see
Oh, they
it?
did?
Yeah.
Oh.
Did you hear about that, Nick?
No, I didn't.
So basically, you could have gotten your car a whole lot sooner if you added FSD beta to it.
I have
And
seen
then,
Not beta, just FSD.
or FSD,
but
whatever. And then,
what people were doing... Yeah, go ahead.
anyways, people were ordering their car, and then they realized if they added the FSD package and then later removed it, their place in line gets moved up because they got the FSD package.
They wait till they had a VIN assigned.
And then once they get a VIN, then they get rid of it.
Wow,
They still
that's
have their
sneaky.
car.
That's sneaky.
Very sneaky.
But they fixed
So
it.
Tesla caught on to that really quickly and was like, no. So they changed the website so that if you add FSD and you try to remove it again, it says you'll be pushed back. So they
fair.
don't prioritize you.
That's fair.
A few people got away with it though.
It sounds like one of those problems, though. If you sell the car with FSD beta on it to someone else, and they still have it, even though it's a whole different profile, whole different ownership and everything, that doesn't sound right compared to you
I know,
canceling
I agree.
FSD and then re-subscribing later.
But it's possible that their thought process is they when they rose the price to $12,000, they didn't up the price of the membership, and I think their logic was, well, you're not paying towards ownership of any kind, so we're okay if that doesn't go up as much, because no matter if you spend $200 a month for 5 years, you still don't own it. You still would have to pay the full $12,000 or whatever it cost by then to own it outright. So they see that as just pure profit for them. But maybe if they find out there's people like me that are going month to month, where it's like, yeah, I'll subscribe to it 1 month, 2 months, and then cancel it when I'm not using it. Or what I could see happening is I watch the beta videos of the people with early access, because there's still a limited club of people that get the updates before everybody else does. If there's an exciting update that's really different, I'll be like, okay, I'll subscribe to it this month. And if it's, this update sucks, nah, I don't need it. So I'll just wait until there's something notable to review and then subscribe but maybe if Tesla finds out people are doing that, it's like, well, if that's the case, then less people will buy it outright because they know they can do month to month. So let's not encourage that, at least on the beta. I don't know.
You
But
can always use me and Randy as gauges as well for the recent
That's true.
FSD build on whether it's
right.
worth it subscribing that month or buy several ice cream tubs instead.
Because Mike is...
Maybe you want ice cream. I don't know. You're sacrificing
heard him.
ice cream for FSD beta. I don't know.
I've cut out desserts for the past 3 months. But
Sir,
okay.
maybe you want to buy
No.
a whole bunch of ice cream after these months.
He said what he said. You heard him.
But yeah, I would be curious, because Mike has had several times where he's gotten an update and it's been objectively worse than a previous update, and he's been like,
The amount
this
of
is terrible.
times I've hit the camera button for Tesla this build, I'm like, this did it badly, or why is it merging in the middle of the intersection to another lane? This
Right.
doesn't make sense. It's a weird intersection in general, but still, it's like, stay in that lane and then move over after the intersection, or it's
I'm still just happy to get a car that's capable of doing all that. I don't really care as much about can it do it 24/7 any day of the year. It's more like just I know it will cost extra, and I know that I'm not paying upright for 12K, so it's not going to be accessible at all times. But I would feel more nervous spending that kind of money and then knowing that the insurance won't cover it if something happens, or you know. Something goes wrong with the car and it's non-transferable and that kind of thing. Like, I just like knowing, okay, whatever the price, there's a way for this car to handle the lane changing and handle roundabouts and stoplights and all that. It's just a nice platform to start with.
Sure, I agree. I guess
so that's
what
I'm looking forward to.
I guess going back a tiny bit to like, if our cars got totaled and the insurance didn't give us the money back, I'd probably get your car, Drew. I'd probably get the LFP Model 3.
You'd get a Hyundai Sonata.
Ooh.
You shut your mouth. I would throw that off a cliff if you gave it to me.
I would watch that. That sounds like fun.
Sounds like fun to me. That's why I'd do it. But yeah, I'd probably get that. I've got the LFP Model 3 right here. Yeah, it's smaller, but it's a whole lot cheaper, and I can fully charge it without having to worry about it.
You'd probably get Midnight Silver too, huh?
Yeah, that's the thing. If I've got extra cash, I could get red. But then
okay.
I've got a whole dirt problem, and I don't want that. So it might just be
true.
Jarvis 2.0. By the way, I don't know if I've said this on the podcast. My car's name is Jarvis.
Yeah.
My co-pilot is Jarvis, I guess, if you're Age of Ultron enthusiast. Anyways.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you'd get an LFP.
I'd get an LFP.
That's it. So you're saying you love your Model Y, obviously, and you'd like to keep that, but in the event something happened to it, you would not replace it with a new Model Y.
Well, I could order a Model Y. It's just I wouldn't get it for like a year. So might as well get something like, again, like 3 more months, and then, I don't know, suffer through with a used car or something else, or God forbid, use the Ram 1500 during this gas crisis that we're in.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, that must cost a fortune to fill up.
It's not being moved except for going to work and back for my wife, and that's it. Nothing else.
I would probably get a used inventory just because the delivery timeline would probably be pretty quick.
Yeah, you're not wrong there.
If that happened to me, I'd be like, well, there's a long-range rear-wheel drive Model 3 with FSD on used inventory right now. It has FSD on it, which is kind of nice, but definitely not cheaper, but definitely cheaper than buying new, and the wait would not be as long. So
there's one used Model Y near me, and it's
really?
$77,000.
Wow.
Oh, jeez.
And that's it. If you try looking for
incredible.
new, there's none.
If I have to replace my Model 3, I am getting a brand new top-of-the-line Model X. I'm going all out.
Okay. 120 grand.
Get a lease.
Hey, Randy, could I come to Virginia and hang out with you for a week or so? Specifically in about, I guess, a year or something like that?
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, top of the line. So
Unfortunately, I'll still be here. So, yeah.
I watched Doug DeMero's Plaid Model X video yesterday.
He missed a few
Oh my
things,
God.
but he covered a few things that I haven't seen, like the vent underneath the heads-up display. I didn't think about that, where the driver was getting cooling. So
I agreed with him wholeheartedly on they did the sun visors so much better than Lucid. Because Lucid's got the windshield that goes past your head, but then they put the sun visors right where a column would be anyway, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of having a single pane of glass going all the way back. So it was like, yeah, the Model X just puts those sun visors along the columns. I'm like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That looks so much better. How could they not have thought of I don't get it. But I was thinking that, but I hadn't really mentioned it, and then he brought it up and he showed how the sun visors work, and I was like, dang, that makes so much more sense. That is so logical.
I'm convinced that if I have to get a new one because something happens to my old one, then I'm getting a spaceship, and I'm getting the X.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
I always support spaceships.
And if anyone sees an army green Model 3, I encourage them to ram into it at full speed.
All
so
of the Model 3s in my area gone.
Everyone's just gonna get.
You know,
rammed.
after this announcement that Drew made, I didn't really see any of these cars anymore. I wonder what happened to them.
They're all gone. Yeah. Oh my god! But I don't know why Elon. He said in a tweet that he wants to just make 6-seater Model X's. Like he's like, that's my favorite. I disagree wholeheartedly. I don't care for the 6-seater at all.
I love the 6-seater
personally.
This is the same guy who said that they're only making the Model S and X just for legacy reasons, and that they weren't doing anything else with it.
Right.
That was a lie. This has some validity behind it, considering the Plaid Model X is only available in the 6 seat.
Oof.
The Plaid Model X, they got rid of the 5 and 7 seat options, so they're actually acting on this request. Whereas we're not updating the S and X thing. That was just flat out wrong. But the second row doesn't fold flat with the 6-seater.
Mm-hmm.
And
that makes sense.
That second row doesn't even have armrests. You can't.
Is that your biggest problem with it? It doesn't have armrests.
And you can't fold it flat. I would think that would bug me more because if you watch Doug's video, the back of the Model X, especially with the 6-seater, is not very spacious. There's not much cargo room. Even after you fold down the third row, it did not look as spacious as your Model Y.
No, but it's not meant to be the big space.
It kind of is. If you don't care about cargo space, get a Model S. The whole reason to get the X is more storage space, in my opinion. They still offer it
on the long range for the X, I believe. The 5, 6, and 7.
They do.
So
they've barely delivered any, but
you can still get it. It's just you can't get it if you want to get Plaid. It's the same reason for the Model Y. If you want a 7-seater, you have to get a long range. You can't get a performance.
But that makes sense for the powertrain and whatnot. But why can the performance vehicle not have less seats? I don't get that.
Why can the performance vehicle not have less seats?
Take out the third row.
Simplifying the manufacturing.
I guess, but I just didn't like when he said they want to just do 6-seaters because I was like,
sure. But to be fair, they're making a car that's going to cover that, which is the Cybertruck.
See, I couldn't go a whole show without talking about this. I could not agree with you more there, Mike. The Cybertruck is something I'm indeed in love with, indeed worried about, and yes, indeed excited for. Cybertruck.
It's another question I have for Nick.
Uh-oh.
What are you going to do in the event that the Cybertruck is not out and your lease is up?
He's going to worry about it.
I have been worrying about that very possibility for nigh 3 weeks now. I don't know. We'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. I have put some significant thought into that. Obviously, the hope is Elon's still saying hopefully Cybertruck production will begin next year.
I heard that.
I've heard that for a few years now. But assuming it doesn't happen next year, and maybe it happens sooner than 3 years, then I think we'll be golden. So I'm still confident in my decision.
A good amount of time.
I feel like I feel like I have like a 70% shot of having the timing work out pretty good here.
Sure.
But there is the chance that it doesn't work out.
It gets roadstered.
Or the world falls apart more than it is, or whatever, and then we're kind of back to square one where I'm out a Tesla, and Cybertruck's looking like 6 months to a year away, and I'm just sitting here like, do I get another Tesla? Do I get a beater car? So I have no idea what I'll do at the time.
Well, Nick, I just got an email just now during the show from my local Chevy dealer saying that the Bolt EV is coming back to sales this or next month.
Ooh.
So I'm sure in 3 years, if there's not another battery issue, you could get a Chevy Bolt.
Wow, Mike, you're driving a hard bargain there.
Chevy Bolt. We got it right this time.
Maybe.
I swear. Maybe. We think
Don't
we
quote
got
me
it.
on that. It has
The
quotes.
Note 7 of EVs.
I think the most metal thing Chevy could do at this point is make a commercial with the Bolt EV and make like explosions behind it. And just like call attention to the fact that it used to explode.
Oh
Like
Oh, boy.
it's fully running, like it's the whole broomstick thing. Just embrace it. Why not?
no. Why
Like,
not?
It would just it'd put a lot of respect for me and them if they embraced their exploding car.
Yeah.
I love it.
I mean,
least
I
they
would
don't
laugh. I don't know if respect is the right word.
Drew, so I want
Yeah.
to make sure I understood you correctly. You don't like the 6-seater?
No.
He wants a bed without having a truck.
I think if you're buying an SUV, you probably want a decent amount of cargo space. Otherwise, you would get a Model S, which is already not bad for a sedan. It's a hatchback, and you can fit a decent amount in the Model S. If you're going with the X, just so you can sit one more person, and the second row isn't going to have even just basic places to like rest your arms, whereas even the Model Y has that for like less than half the price. Or no, it's close to half now. It used to be less than half. I just think that if you want more seating, get the 7-seater. Because at least on the 7-seater, the second row can fold flat if you're hauling something bigger, or if you want to do car camping, which I've done myself. So I'm kind of confused why there's a SUV where the second row can't just fold downward
Because
and
the
open
Tesla
up more
are off
space.
to the side. Those seats are off to the side.
Yeah, I think
I know why they can't. I'm just saying it's a bad layout for a lot of use cases.
Yeah.
I know there are some people that might be happy with it, but the concept that they only need that one and that one's the best one, I fundamentally disagree with. It's like no.
I think Doug put it perfectly in the videos that Tesla's a little bit or very different in a lot of their choices that they make for their cars.
Yes.
And this is
Yes,
just
they are.
one of those choices, is that it's not like a
Like the
a
yoke?
Toyota 4. Yeah, it's not like a 4Runner. It's not like a Rivian R1S, assuming that will have the same functionality as any other SUV. This is a Model X.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Fabergé egg that does crazy numbers, is this stealth behemoth of a thing
Mm-hmm.
that can do crazy numbers and still seat 7 people. And you can still get
Mm-hmm.
decent cargo space in there. It's not a wagon, but
No.
it's not. Yeah, I get the frustration, but I think I'm a little bit more accepting of the fact that it just can't do that because it's Tesla. They make very quirky, weird decisions, and I don't know. Maybe
And I don't think people are buying a Model X with the thought of like, I want to go sleeping in this thing, so I need to be able to put the second row down. I see a Model X fitting the need of like personnel, fitting people in, and having that cabin space, and you want the biggest room in your cabin. Like that's the biggest you can get to date, and it could meet a number.
No,
of,
I'd agree.
I mean, it meets a number of not requirements, but like it hits all of these check boxes of the fact that like the mileage is still good, and like the offset of the whole thing is like it feels weird because it's like that car was not made for us, and I don't mean us as in like us four, but in the sense of that
Us
like
plebs.
that's a whole different price bracket. You know what I mean? Like that is
Oh, it is.
not for us. And in one way, you can make it like I would like to spend that type of money as a company vehicle, but then okay, how about just a family? Having that open floor for the 6-seater feels easier to get to all your children if co-pilot needs to get back there for whatever reason. Instead of hopping over seats, you have space to do such things, to whether the car seat's in the far back or I forgive me, I'm not well versed about what is regulation and what's appropriate where you're supposed to put the car seats, but assuming you put children in the far back because it might be safer, it's easier for you to get access back there as a parent or a co-parent, anybody who's in the passenger seat. And it's like you guys were just saying, it's just different. Like no one else is doing that, and it's meant to be another version of the yoke.
To add on to that, Randy, it also tows 5,000 pounds. So it's a whole lot more than the Y and the S and the 3. It can tow a small slipstream.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what's weird to me is the 7-seater is $3,000 less.
Intentional.
So you can pay less money and have more seats. So if your goal is moving people, and 5 seats isn't enough in a Model S, so you're going with an X, so you can sit more. Why then is the argument $3,000 more to seat one less person?
It's those seats on pedestals and accessibility as well.
Accessibility
having a
you
seat
should watch Doug's video. That gap is not that big.
No,
he was not getting into the third row through the
seats
center.
Can move. It's a captain's chair. It can move in different ways. Yeah, it doesn't fold flat, but you can adjust it any way you want.
Right.
I would get it, I'd get it even more if it had lumbar support. I'd be like, well, yeah, of course they're gonna say that this is more expensive, but even so, as it is right now, I think it's justified.
Check my lumbar right now.
I think I've got something close to that.
I've got no issue with the option being there. I just fundamentally disagree with that should be the only option.
I do agree with that. I don't think you should, I think options are good, and I like.
Yeah. Tesla doesn't like options, but if Elon's logic is the 6-seater is so good, we should just make that and no one else. It's like I would settle with 5 or 7 before I would say 6 is all you need. It'd be weird if the Model X could not sit as many as the Y.
I would settle with 5 and 6. I agree that 5 feels like that should be the default barrier to entry one. That 5 just feels the most traditional, convenient, the most practical, and you might have more space to work with in the back with the hatch. I don't know, but I think a 5.1 should definitely be always an option, because some people just, like I said, want the cabin space, but they don't need the seats. So drop as much as possible without having to go in and gut it yourself. 5-seat would be pretty convenient. Six is cool, just in the sense that let me rephrase it like this: if you can make 7 seats where if that center is open, I'd like that concept because it's different. If you don't need that open space, then get the 5-seater, or get a different model, or get a different make. It doesn't have to be through anybody else. But the fact that they offer something that no one else does, I don't have a personal use for it, but I can see people having that type of convenience for it, of just make it. It's like they're, how Rivian. It's Rivian, right? Or is it Ford? Which one has the through piece?
That's the
Rivian.
Yeah, no one else does that, and I think that's a cool, convenient thing to practical use. Likewise, in the same aspect of just extra space, I like having an open center in the X for something if you need to put something long enough. There it goes. It's not leaning up on chairs and it's bumping into things. You don't have to move people around. It's a cool, convenient, but it shouldn't be like this or nothing. It shouldn't be treated like the yoke. I make my case. I make my case for not having a yoke, but even Marquez is he would keep it if he had the choice. But
Doug loved it too. Doug was a fan.
I sat in the nest. I held. I was like, this is weird, but
yeah, I would take one. I would probably get a yoke on my 3 before a paint protection film. We just lost half our audience by me saying that.
Bye guys. We don't miss you.
I get it. I honestly get it.
Thanks. Yeah, man, the wait time is so far out. I was just building my dream Tesla, and
it's an X. July
of 2023
Dang.
is the delivery time. I could have a lot more by then. I can afford it. So easy. But hey, Nick.
Yep.
If your lease expires and the Cybertruck's not ready, you should get a beater car.
Yep.
The beater car I would recommend is called the F-150 Lightning.
Shots
You're so funny. You're so funny.
Ford has not risen their prices on the Lightning, and the Pro is going to be sold for under $50,000. So
Nope.
230 miles of range.
Tesla or
you got
bust.
a bed. You probably have hundreds of F-150s driving around you constantly. I'm sure.
I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, at least 8 of them.
With Nick and Sweeney.
Most of them are white.
Think of that frunk party you could have.
Yeah.
You could
Man,
sit
I
in
could
that
put-
You could
frunk
probably fit
like
a Nick in
camping.
there.
Hey, yo!
Ooh.
I ain't gonna murder anybody.
No, what? No, we're putting you in there.
Exactly. Y'all gonna
That's
murder
not
me
how
now?
murder works.
I think
called
you would sit
self-murder.
in the frunk of the Lightning just like you sit in an office chair. Like it's just the right size.
Okay, so just be like armrest and a
But-
back thing. No, I would definitely be at the same predicament as I am right now, where it's like either I get a Tesla or I get a $2,000 beater car. Those are the two options. So
There's nothing in
there's
between.
no Lightnings, there's no Bolts, there's no Lucids. It's a Tesla
A
or a
Lucid.
beater car.
How much
should-
money do
you
you
should-
have?
You should lease a Lucid to hold you over.
Can
Yes.
you even lease a Lucid?
I'd probably not.
You can trade the hatchback for the smallest possible trunk you can imagine for the most money imaginable.
Exactly. Well, I just shook my
don't think you
couch
can
cushions the other day and found a couple $100,000, so we're good.
Tell me where you get these couches. I'm gonna buy 5 of them.
They're from Goodwill. Sometimes they just have candy wrappers
Oh.
and pennies
Okay.
and some pocket fuzz, but every once in a while you get something good.
I'll admit, if I was looking for an electric pickup, and if my suspicions end up being correct about the price, the Rivian is well over $70,000, $80,000, and the Cybertruck is likely going to be
120.
close to 100,000.
120. 120.
120. Nick is sticking to it. 120 for the quad motor, which means the dual motor will be
90
90, 95.
Somewhere in
around
there.
there.
Yeah, I can't swing that, but if the Ford is still offering like $40,000 to $50,000 Lightnings, that'd be the cheapest one. They'd have everybody severely undercut, and it's a Ford, but it's a truck, and
And they
that
offer a
was my
cheap
first
version.
vehicle. They offer a cheap version. No one else does
No.
at this point, and I don't think anyone else will. I don't think the Silverado is going to be very cheap. I don't
Nope.
think the Cybertruck's going to be cheap.
Hummer
Rivian's
definitely
not
ain't.
going to get. The Hummer's the opposite.
Hummer's gonna double
So
down. It's
if-
gonna be 200,000.
I was editing several videos on the Lightning, and I was like, it's not pretty. It's definitely not a Tesla. It's not ideal, but as far as just a reasonably priced electric pickup truck goes, it's not a terrible choice.
This just in. Tailosive EV recommends Ford F-150 Lightning for audience.
No. That does not
Flames,
get my
explosions
recommendation.
everywhere.
Everyone else has priced themselves out of, I think, a ton of people's budget.
Yeah. Unless you're waiting until
Everyone else
2024.
is like, what's in 2024?
The cheaper Rivian, which costs the same as the Rivian earlier this year.
So in 2024, you could get a Rivian for 70,000 instead of 80,000.
It's a heck of a discount.
Hey.
What a savings! Still, like nowhere near Lightning pricing, but
Right.
even with dealer markups, it'll be cheaper.
Probably.
Maybe. I don't know.
Unfortunately,
Those dealer
that's-
markups have been $50K before, so.
Hey, the bolts that I looked at this morning did not have markups. So
That's good.
Sure.
Yeah, I read Ford was trying to work with dealers and prevent that from happening. So I'm hoping, even if there are hoping
Openings.
hoping
opening.
if there is dealer markups, they're not too bad. But the Lightning is so cheap at this point that it wouldn't even put you in the same ballpark as Rivian. So I like the base model interior. Ironically, I think the more expensive interior looks worse. Because if you pay for like the more luxurious Lightning interior, it's just the Mach-E. It's like the portrait mode screen with the dial, which I hate. But the entry level model is a landscape display and there's no dial. So I was like, just do that. Just do that on all of them, please. So it's probably cheaper than Powerwall if it has the vehicle to grid thing. You get an inverter. Now you have a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack versus the Powerwall, which is like, what,
50?
15 kilowatt hours? It's not very much.
15? That's all?
Yeah, look it up.
Wow.
It's not that big.
15.
Yeah.
Dang.
So there was a video done on this. I forget who did it. But they were like, if Ford stays true, first of all, I think they're losing a crap ton of money on the Lightning. I don't know how they're doing it, but
They're not.
they're not they're not profitable, which is what makes me want to get one. But essentially, like they were saying, the F-150 Lightning would provide more energy storage than like 2 or 3 Powerwalls for about for less money. So if you got solar and just treated that truck as a energy storage system, you would actually have quite a lot of energy to pull from. Which says a lot about how inefficient the Lightning is, right? Because people were like, this truck can power your home for 3 days. It's like, how many cells are in that thing? I think, based on the EPA's post, that it's got to be, even on the entry-level range option, it's got to be over 100 kilowatt hours.
At least this many.
At least this many. So I have never heard of a vehicle with a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack that you could buy for $40,000, and that has vehicle to grid potential. So
we'll see if it actually is $40,000.
Yeah, well, that's what the MSRP is listing, and they were in an interview recently.
Tell that to Rivian.
Yeah, Rivian's
too busy.
We need some more money, actually. Yeah. But the first deliveries should be in the next couple months. So I'm following it a bit more closely just because it feels a lot more real. And I would love to compare it to the Cybertruck and argue why the Cybertruck's better. But it's very, very difficult when we have almost no new info to go off of and barely any timelines that feel very concrete. I mean, Ford said that they would start deliveries in the spring. They're still saying that, and they were like, hey, are you going to raise prices like everybody else? And they were like, got nothing to report at this time. So
I go back and forth on this dang truck. It's ugly, but
I'm looking at
so
it right
boring.
now.
Me too.
It's very boring.
It's
but
boring. It looks
the
like...
specs are pretty interesting.
I went from the Pro, and then I jumped all the way to the Platinum, and instead of looking at the 2 middle ones, just so I can do a sharp
one.
contrast.
Yeah.
They turned off reservations because they have way too many orders to fill.
I understand.
But this truck with a 5.5-foot bed, with the 10,000 pound or 7,000
what
pound
it has
towing
going
capacity,
for it is that it's actually here. Like
it's not here yet. It's going to be.
You know what I mean?
Like, a whole lot
very close.
With it having the means to actually distribute this thing. And it's coming.
It's in production.
Yeah, coming before Cybertruck. What it has going for it is that we have an actual tangible truck that we can do a proper analysis on. As fanatics,
it's cheaper than my Model 3. Isn't that weird?
That is
sad.
Yeah.
That
like
is
my little electric
sad.
sedan is more expensive than this full-size pickup, which
I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark.
I'm not liking that you point out that the interior looks better on the Pro, because it does.
I'm looking at that
have you looked at you looked at the base model interior? I'm like, I would rather have that, even if it
looks
was
like
the
my
exact
truck,
same
but
price.
with a screen. Mine doesn't have a screen. It has a little digital display that shows the song, and that's it. This one actually has
it's pretty much
decent screen.
It's pretty much your truck that's electric and with a screen.
This, I think, just makes me more excited for the Ram EV whenever the heck that thing comes out. Because if it's anything it's going to be competitive. In my opinion, it's going to be competitive with the Lightning.
The Ram?
I believe so.
Oh my god!
So
I'm playing with the configurator right now. Like, I could not have designed a more boring pickup truck. Like, it's the most stale, wet white rice pickup truck.
You got it in white?
It's the freaking mayonnaise sandwich pickup truck. It's so basic. It's just like,
why'd you go in white?
Like, the Pro option doesn't even have the light bar.
Yep.
So you can't especially I'm sorry, I'm just laughing because I think the Cybertruck is like the coolest looking vehicle of all time, and they still even have the physical antenna. It's literally like
they don't put anything on
this
top.
angle.
I'm looking
this
at it.
angle. I'm gonna text you guys.
I'm looking at
of
it.
the.
I would get it in stone gray just because it's hilarious.
The bed doesn't even have a liner on it.
No, that's the same for mine.
Yeah.
It's just the
That's
metal
okay.
in
It's
the back.
the antenna for me.
That's great. I mean, I got the antenna on my Ram, and it's hilarious.
Well, that makes
Literally
sense
no
for your
one
thing, but
Yeah, for
Antenna.
will ever ask you about this truck. No one will be like, "What kind of truck is that?"
Nope.
It's just like the most basic looking pickup. No one will know it's electric until
That's
you
it.
probably start. If you start driving in it and it doesn't start up, you know, it doesn't have an ignition and it just starts moving. People are going to be
no,
like,
black blue smoke coming out of the back of it. It's like, oh, wait a minute.
I just mean like as far as boring, but decent value for the money. Keep in mind how much F-150 owners are paying for gas right now,
bro,
because they're not getting good efficiency.
facts. That is so
And-
true.
I'm gonna drop another bombshell on you right now. F-150 Lightning still qualifies for the federal tax credit, $7,500. So
You guys messed up. You guys should have gone with Ford.
Nick, it's 708 of financing per month for 60 months.
What did you say, Mike? You cut out.
Oh, 700.
It's cheaper.
It's cheaper to lease/loan.
Did you see the face Nick just made?
It's,
Oh my God.
It does towing.
It was
it
just
comes
like-
with a hitch installed. You don't have to add that.
I'm
No,
sure
thanks.
Elon will still talk to you.
No, thanks. No, he wouldn't actually.
You have so much more space. He would actually, honestly, he would
That was
probably
a
come
trick
up to
question.
you and he'd be like,
We were just trying.
Is
We were
that
just
like-
trying to
He'd
get
come
you
up
to
to me
admit
with a
you
steel
talked to
ball
Elon.
and see if the windows were good.
"No, that's bronze."
Honestly, can I be honest? I think the Lightning would look better if it was extremely dirty and full of dents.
Yeah.
If it was like all scratched up and ugly,
Yeah.
I think I would prefer the look more.
Yeah.
So
It's a wrecking
just
ball.
yeah, just
Oh my God.
take a wrecking ball, replace one of the windows with saran wrap and duct
Different
tape.
colored panels.
And you would just have this futuristic electric pickup truck that is all rugged and star-based, you know, because it's filled with dirt and dents and scratches. Like, I kind of would like that look a little bit more than what is on the website.
Well,
10K
Oh my goodness.
in potential savings.
Think of the... I mean, first of all, it's one of the least efficient EVs of all time. Only beat by the Hummer, surprising no one. But I just think the Lightning's
What's sad is this
Good
is
on paper.
This is close to what I paid for the Ram. And this is
I think that's why so many people ordered it, and that's why they turned off reservations. Is because they realized they priced it way too low. So
the price is
I
great,
would not be shocked
but
if they backed out.
in
on
reality,
these prices.
the towing and the range is what you have to suffer through. But if you don't
Yeah.
tow that much, it's a pretty good deal.
I will just mention that Ford vehicles, at least with the Mach-E, have been statistically more accurate to their EPA range.
And they're easier to charge at charge stations, according to Electrify America. So,
Then what?
Than
Easier
ID4s.
what? Oh yeah,
you could just
the
plug it in.
ID4, of course.
You can just plug in a
But-
Ford. That's what my coworker
Right.
tells me. He gets jealous because he owns an ID4. And he's like,
Uh-huh.
the Ford guy just drives up, plugs it in, and he's done. I have to actually
Yeah.
go onto the screen or on my phone or whatever and tap things, and then maybe it works.
I don't care what the CEO says. There's no way they're turning a profit on those.
No
trucks.
way.
I have no.
Eat your
I
heart
have,
out,
He
Jim
claims
Farley.
we're only gonna do profitable vehicles and we're not going to take a loss on these. And I'm like, how the heck are you doing that? I guess they're reusing so many components from the existing F-150 lines because they've been building F-150s for at high volume for decades.
This is their
To
Model
the
Y.
point that all their wheels and bed and cabin interior, does all of that cost nothing?
Well, if they're
Is all of that
if they're
basically
producing a whole
free?
bunch for the regular F-150, that's like their Model 3. And this
Right.
Lightning is their Model Y. All they're doing is just
And they're
taking
building
pieces that
almost-
they're already making.
Aren't they building like 1 million F-150s a year?
Yeah, so that's how they're doing the cost savings then.
So all of this money, if that's the case, if by some miracle they're turning a profit on this truck, that means probably you're spending $39,000 on the battery and $1,000 on everything else. That's what it costs to build.
Sadly, that
Seriously.
sounds real. Yeah, that's why I'm laughing.
No, because no one can sell vehicles with 100 kilowatt
Okay,
hour
Drew,
pack for 40
they
grand.
are selling them at a profit. They're 100% profitable. There's a $50,000 dealer markup that you're not looking at.
Well, that's
that doesn't go
profitable for the
straight to
dealer.
the company. That
Yeah.
goes to the
That
dealer.
doesn't go to Ford.
But then the Ford has to get their dealer kickbacks and the.
Yeah, but it's not that much. The
Yeah,
dealer
well,
gets most of
yeah.
it. Also, like how
I
all
get
these photos
why,
are at San Francisco too. Like,
Yeah, that's where people buy
like
F-150s.
someone's driving a
The Bay Area.
F-150 Lightning Pro through the streets.
Down Market
of-
I'm a
Street.
software engineer.
I've driven
I'm
in there with
gonna
the
design code.
No,
but
my wife
I
has
need an
driven through
F-150.
there with the Ram.
Really?
It is hell if you're driving in there with a truck. Why would you drive? Who are they catering to with this truck? Apparently everyone.
For the record, I still think Tesla will outbuild the F-150 Lightning. I believe they can build more Cybertrucks than Ford can build Lightnings.
I think, yeah, that's the thing with Ford. Like, I think we made the case for these two products to be profitable in the market. Is that Ford can make this without too much loss, if not a whole bunch of gain, because it's a carbon copy of their existing product. Tesla's doing the other side of the coin, or like the other side of it, where they're trying to decrease the manufacturing costs for something that's entirely new and different.
Mm-hmm.
So,
For the F-150 line is just them taking already built F-150s and just pulling out the combustion engine and throwing in a battery, and then they send it out.
Yeah.
They've just made a very streamlined retrofit process. That's what the Lightning is.
I think this is smart. This is a fantastic idea from Ford, but
Oh, yeah.
is it innovative? Maybe. In
No,
some
well-
lens, yes.
It's okay. I don't think everything needs to be innovative.
No.
Sometimes
Sometimes you just have to be
Sometimes it's
basic.
just about. Sometimes it's about being efficient, especially when it comes to scaling up production. Just be efficient with. That's why the Model Y scaled so fast, is because they reused a ton of stuff.
This
So
is the
it's-
Model
Yeah.
Y. Just a truck.
This is Ford's Model Y.
It's the iPhone SE equivalent.
Yeah, it's the iPhone SE of trucks. There
Yep,
you go.
that makes sense.
Ironically called the Pro. The Pro is the cheapest.
Oh, dear Lord. Okay, well.
Alrighty.
I don't think I have
Wow.
any more final thoughts, or if I did, that was it.
That was
No,
the whole
that's it.
final
All
thought.
right. Everyone on the show. Hey, guess what? I've decided
No.
if my Model 3 gets in an accident,
Don't say
It
it.
is totaled.
Don't say it.
I'll get a Lightning.
Don't say no.
He said it.
Although, because it's me, no, I'm not committing to that. That's mostly a joke.
well,
Although, because
take
it's
back my
me, I'll
thoughts.
call it the F-150 USB-C.
Ooh,
Love it.
there you go.
because
much
you're just
better.
I don't
plugging
like
into your
Lightning.
house.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great week. Bye-bye.